Hi guys, it's Luetin here, and we're back for another episode of the Battlefield Roundtable, and I'm joined today by Levelcap, Matimio and RivaLxfactor, and we're just going to be talking generally about a lot of Battlefield topics today, keeping it a bit more casual than the previous episodes. So, has anybody got anything they want to sort of bring in first off before we go straight in? Who's got a topic? Nobody. Nobody's got.
I'd like to generally talk about what we think the development cores learned through trial and error with BF3 going into BF4 development, which is taking place now.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about perhaps...
That's a meaty topic.
I think I'd like to talk about some of the developer communication with the fan base, you know, perhaps if... fuck. I don't even know what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that subject.
No, I think it is a good topic to want, because it's kind of interesting in itself, because I know that you've been looking at, obviously, well, you guys, I know, all have been looking at PlanetSide, but it is kind of interesting, the whole process that they've had in terms of development with PlanetSide 2 compared to a lot of other games, how involved they are with the community, and I really think it's quite impressive.
It is night and day.
Yeah, it really is. But I have to say as well, from you guys actually being involved with the game, because I know Level's been hugely, and I know Rival, you've been playing it loads. Do you find that involvement has been constructive? You know, the fact that players are so involved and can also see so much of the development. Have you found that when that translates, you know,
the fact that they have an open line or multiple lines of communication with the community is a wonderful thing, right? So not only do they acknowledge bugs, they also let you know what they're working on. They also let you know what they're thinking, whether it's an idea if it's infancy or an idea that's about to hit a patch in 7 to 10 days. Yeah. That sort of transparency is what communities are looking for these days. Yeah. You know, the issue I have with DICE and EA is, you know, they only patch due to monetary reasons with DLCs, right? But they never really talk about some of the things that they're addressing. That leads to them missing out on boatloads of glitches and issues. And, you know, I'm not talking balance issues. I wouldn't want that job myself. But they miss out on a lot of stuff that the community talks about on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, they sometimes seem to be in this kind of weird denial where everybody knows, and this isn't just EA, like loads of companies do this. Everybody knows there's these glitches or things that don't work in the game, like really often quite serious things, and they just won't even recognize it. And as I've said before, this was one of the reasons why I ended up walking away from the original Black Ops, because there was some major issues and they would not even admit. That was the kind of it wasn't the fact that there was a problem in the game. That wasn't even the problem. It was the fact that they wouldn't come and say, we are aware of this problem. And I just find that weird, because if everybody knows it's there, why not just say that? Then at least your community know that you've acknowledged it and therefore you're working on it. And also, I mean, do you think as well, like say Level, that if they acknowledge and say, we know there's this problem, we're going to be working on it, but it's difficult and it's taking us some time, do you think that means, do you think people are kind of more amenable then? They kind of go, okay, you know, we're kind of frustrated that this is a problem in the game, but we know that they've accepted that it's happening and they're trying to do something about it. People,
well, yeah,
a bit more,
you see that with the PlanetSide 2 development. You know, there's big bugs that haven't been fixed for a while, and the devs like break them down and talk about why they're so hard to fix and why they're taking a long time to fix. You know, and the community reads it and they're much more understanding. And then you take a look at Battlefield, and I don't know if you guys read those little news snippets on Battlelog, but I think like 3 news snippets ago they talked about how they fixed all these bugs in single player, and it's like the game's been out for over a year, guys. Like, why are you even mentioning this? This is embarrassing that it took you over a year after launch to fix what they called, and I quote, game-breaking bugs. It's just like, good job, guys. Way to get on top of it.
Do you guys remember the difference? Do you remember the service that they had in Bad Company 2 compared to now?
Because, I don't, actually.
Okay, so back then, I felt like they were a lot more involved with the community. They had people going on podcasts just like this, but they also, their DLCs, like they weren't really DLCs. They were kind of just like, I don't even know how to describe it, because they were all free. Like everything was awesome. Free. Yeah. And they even said, one of the developers was like, we aren't, or someone had, I can't remember their name, were like, we aren't going to charge you for any new content for Bad Company 2, and we're never going to do that for our Battlefield titles. And then, people have been like, well, what the hell happened? And I think it's just because they got so much bigger. What it really comes down to is
it's a shift. It's also a shifting business model that we see in the gaming world, right?
Yeah.
So
that too.
you look at, and this is true in any company. And I come from the business world. If your competitor is doing something and it's successful, you want to try to mimic that, duplicate it, and improve upon it the best way possible to make as much money possible with the best margins available, right? So that's the carrot on the stick with these DLCs. Hey, we're gonna promise you content, but we're going to charge you a premium fee or $15 or, what's it over there in pounds? £8, £10?
Yeah, no, it's about, it's about 12 to 15, I think. I obviously bought premium, so I don't know. Premium was £50, I think. That was right,
So you guys get juiced a little more than we do, and that is the evolution of the industry. For instance, the newest thing in PlantSide success is it's free to play. That's another business model that these guys are starting to morph towards with the microtransactions. Yeah. And what this free to play thing does, the developers have to be in tune.
Yeah.
Because at any point in time, you didn't hit somebody up for $60 for a AAA title. They paid $0 on day one.
Yeah.
You want to keep them, like Team Hat 2, right? Team Fortress 2. You want to keep bringing content to keep the money wheel spinning.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the free-to-play model, I think. They really have to pay attention, like PlantSide has.
It is really interesting. There is a lot of different there's several different business models out in terms of gaming right now. It's kind of interesting how more have been kind of moving around lately. They've a couple have kind of come to the fore than before. I should also say that in the UK, Battlefield Premium is £40, not 50. I just looked that up. But yeah, free to play obviously has been around for a while, but it's interesting that it's coming out more strongly now. I think it's been kind of on a bigger platform. But do you guys think that any sort of model is going to become more apparent, sort of leading, as it were? I mean, the traditional games market, I can't really see it changing. That standard games will just be sold and DLCs are just going to continue to be sold because that's their kind of model. And, when you have companies like Steam, but also obviously Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, these things are going to go on. And I think that model is going to stay there. So we're not going to see that go away. But I do hope that we get more large games, more successful #1 games that are free to play, because I think it's interesting, and I think but it's curious how they would, it obviously
the model is going to be
PC.
appropriate for some games, and not for others.
It's going to be appropriate for PC mainly, and you're going to see it a lot more on PC than on consoles, simply because of the pirating problem.
And next gen console, I think, is going to basically be a modified PC in a box, right? Quad cores are talking 8 to 12 gigs of RAM. Yep, huge hard drives. That's going to be a PC. They're going to use a controller, probably, but that's a PC nowadays.
Do you think that they should allow, with the next gen sort of consoles and stuff? Currently, I mean, you can obviously. I use the Frag FX, which is the mouse and game chuck thing, which is really quite nice. But obviously, you can use different setups for keyboard and mouse. Now, do you guys think that it would be a pretty good thing for sort of Sony and Microsoft to look at bringing in some sort of, keyboard and mouse compatibility for those console systems? Because a lot of people complaining all the time when I sort of say I use Frag FX. Now, I want to say as well that the Frag FX, it costs very little more than a normal controller, because people are always like, oh, Luetin, you're using this, and it's like, guys, it costs almost pretty much the same as a normal controller. So if you want to get one, just go get one. It's not a big deal.
Could you educate me on what? I don't know what that is.
Oh, look at this thing. It's crazy.
Frag FX, it's basically right.
Here, look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Wii nunchuck. I'm just describing it for everybody else. I have made a video, guys, by the way, so if you go to my tech playlist, you'll be able to find my video about this thing. The Wii nunchuck, you hold it, it's pretty much like that in your left hand, all right? And in your left hand, you've got 2 triggers, which you would have like on a PlayStation or Xbox.
So that's your movement hand, right?
Yeah.
Strafing and whatnot?
Yeah, it's your left to right, forward, back, okay? That's your analog there. And then I've got my 2 triggers, all right? The D-pad, you use that as you would use for your kind of grenade launcher and other stuff like that, the attachment grenade launcher. And then you've got the select button, which is for marking. Okay, and then the mouse on that, I've got my square, triangle, your PlayStation buttons there. And I got the scroll wheel and the 2 mouse buttons, so it gives me all those other things. The really nice thing is that you can, it's not set. You can pretty much keybind like any thing, so you can remap your entire setup for like whatever you want. So, for example, I changed it so my right mouse button is change weapon, so I can just change really quickly between the two, and so on. And I put triangle to my knife, which is what it would be instead. So yeah, you can change it around like that. But in terms of, it's not perfect. Okay, and one of the downfalls is because on console, like with PC on Battlefield, you can obviously adjust your sensitivity for vehicles. And if you look at console gameplay for vehicles compared to PC, like Level, when you've done I remember Armored Kill, and you put up loads of videos showing yourself playing Armored Kill, and the way you could control tanks and stuff in terms of the aiming, it's so frustrating to see that as a console player, because I have no idea why they didn't do this. I guess because they just wanted it to be more uniform for everyone. But for the console, you can't really edit your sensitivity.
Well, Luetin, back to your point about like, what do you think is going to happen with the future consoles, like keyboards and mouse or controllers? Yes. We're going to find out real soon with Valve's new console, because their ad was pretty specific that if you want to use keyboard and mouse, you can use keyboard and mouse. If you want to use controller, you can use that. And it looks like their games are going to be set up for functioning with both controls.
There's like USB
so that'll be interesting.
3.0s on the back of that thing. The Steambox.
Yeah, it's a computer. It's basically what we were talking about. Valve is just beating all these console markers to the... well, I assume they'll beat them to it, but
they haven't given the specs on it though yet, have they?
I think I've mentioned that there's going to be multiple models. So
I heard that.
There's going to be an ATI version supposedly, an NVIDIA version, quad core. How much RAM do you want? There's like 2 options for that.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to get one just because it's quite an exciting new thing. Whether or not it's successful, but I think just as an experiment, I think it's quite exciting.
I think Steam's backing with their marketing department and their web store is that alone will help it be successful.
I think it's great to have competition.
I think that's the only way you're going to be able to get games for it, right? It's through
I think so.
Steam, I would assume.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it'll be like a download only. It'll be download only.
It's great. It's the future, no more. You don't go to the store to get the games. It's all digital download, and as long as
how big is that Steambox? I didn't find a dimension. That thing's tiny, right?
It's tiny. It fits in it literally fits in the palm of your hand. Like,
was that leaked image like confirmed?
That's
or whatever.
Legit.
It's not. It's called an XI3. Yeah. It's all over the internet. If you want to go research it now, you can. It's
XI3.
Just Google it.
Got it right here.
It's just basically a tiny computer, and they're claiming that they can basically, this little thing has the same power as your standard desktop.
That's hard to believe, but
whatever that
it is hard to believe. But
would they invent something new, or
they said that they had like 16 new patents or something that protected all over the world. I don't know, but that they're making the claim, and that's why I was
like
wondering
good marketing to me.
I have to get one of these just as an experience. If it looks very much like a scaled down version of that thing you made the other day, Level, when you were making your recording piece, your separate recording PC.
Well, this is like palm of your hand. The thing I have is the size of a toaster oven.
I know. That's why I said that's why I said scaled down. But yeah.
It's only got a dual core Athlon in it, though.
That's the one they produce now. That's not the one that. And here's what Steam's doing. They said, we're going out to 13 producers. Here's what we want in this thing. Here's how big we want it to be. That was their version that exists on the market now. So it's actually going to have bigger parts in it, and that's what the speculation's about. Is what exactly is it? They know it's a quad core. They know it's at least 6 gigs of RAM. But what else is in it?
Well, how big can they go with that size? That's my concern. It's like, I don't want them to...
You're not going to fit a 670 GPU in there.
I don't think whatever they say it can be as good as your kind of top end PC. It's literally, I don't.
It won't be. But the 670 GPU, if you take that heat shroud off, it's tiny. That board is tiny.
Right, but you have to make up for the heat shroud somewhere.
But what if they've only released, this is a model. Perhaps this is one of their sort of, lower end models, and this will be, they will have variations, different sizes. I mean, that seems, in terms of a production thing, not a good thing to do, to have different sizes, but maybe that's how they're doing it. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of, to have, much more power in different models or whatever. I mean, different spec, anyway. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they can do because I don't think they need to shrink it that small. You know, they can still keep it the size of an Xbox
Yeah,
and
sure.
probably still fit a
I
lot
think-
more hardware in there. But price is going to be a big thing. Even this crappy little model here, they're selling for $500.
Yep,
So
500, which is like their standard, low the end.
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I'll be definitely excited to see more about it near the time. I think E3 is going to be pretty interesting this year. I think everyone kind of knocked E3 last year because it was kind of like, yeah, games and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there wasn't really a lot going on there. I mean, there was the whole Wii stuff, but everyone was like, yeah, sure. But this year, I think, is going to be pretty interesting with all the next consoles and stuff like this as well. But actually, interesting point. I mean, do you guys think that big game fairs like E3 are actually valid anymore? There's been a lot of talk around that. We don't have to talk about this for ages or anything, but just a sort of bullet point. Do you think they're good or not?
What do you mean valid? It's kind of marketing. You know, the most people that are there are the press.
What I
right?
mean is, yes. What I mean is, Jay and Mark, who obviously do Pixel and Me, and they try to sort of look at this and they've watched it and follow it. Obviously, it's good to have like reporters and journalists down to these things, but a lot of the stuff that you kind of go there to see and so on, it can really be seen online, and also you find that, you know, it's all condensed into like this incredibly short period of time. So everyone's like, oh, gotta watch this, you know, there's everything all happening at the same time. And I often wonder why companies like Sony and stuff don't just do like their own keynote speeches or whatever in their own time. They just say, okay, April, we're going to do ours. And then they can devote everyone's attention just to that at the same time, instead of having everything going on all at the same time. And people are so, you know, oh, I've got, this is happening at 3 o'clock and then at 5, this, you know. And
what they use is they use those big events to draw, right? Because let me ask you this. If EA does an event on their own little live stream, how many people is that going to draw? But
true.
if you have an event with EA, the guys behind COD, Activision, Blizzard, if you have all these people in one roof, what's that going to draw, right?
It's true,
you get
they
a
will
piece
get more
of the pie.
exposure. Yeah, they'll get more exposure and more kind of
and that,
perhaps
and I
people
think
seeing
that's
things that wouldn't
all
look
it's
at
about.
it.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's a little disappointing because you watch these interviews of the big guys who go in there and they try and cover all these games, but the reporters generally know nothing about the individual games, so they ask all these generic questions. So if you actually go in to try and watch some of these videos, you're not getting any sort of specific answers. So
It's tedious,
they'll go into like Battlefield 4 booth and they'll be like, so are you going to have vehicles in this game? And the guy will be like, yeah, we'll have jets and tanks, you know, and anybody who's a Battlefield fan is just going to be like totally unexcited by that information.
That's why I always dislike mainstream media talking about big titles, because it always just, I read it in the newspaper or online or whatever, and it's just mind-numbing. They sort of clearly have got no concept about what they're talking about. But
well, it's mind-numbing, but they're also reaching a larger target audience.
yeah, that's
which is hopefully bringing more people in. So it sucks, but you know, it's there's other benefits to it too.
I think we're too hardcore for E3.
I was gonna say, you're so glass half full, dude. You know, and I'm just
I try.
it's not me. I'm not feeling it. You know.
Yeah.
But okay, so we was talking before about Battlefield 4 and things they have learned. Is there anything really important that you think needs to appear in Battlefield 4 that we've learned as part of Battlefield 3? You know, things that we've seen and gone, wow, this really needs to be changed, or things that we say, okay, this worked so perfect, we've got to keep it in there. Anything like that?
Jets.
Oh,
Jets
really?
are OP.
Jets.
The fact that a jet can fly at the same speed as a kite in my backyard, that's bad.
Well, it's not that. It's just an awesome jet pilot can control the server, you know. And I think you see it in most games where it's like it's the food chain and jet is at the top. Jet kills helicopter. Jet then kills all tanks.
Paper rock jet.
Jet kills infantry, you know, and stingers are pretty laughable when it comes to taking down jets.
I would be more interested as well to have a couple of different variations of helicopter, perhaps, rather than have kind of full-on helicopter battles. I think that would make things more intense, more interesting. Have them kitted out differently, perhaps one that's more kind of anti-vehicle spec, one that's more infantry spec, one that's anti-air spec. So you've got all kind of different models of heli. I mean, I know you can individualize your own equipment anyway by, you know, choosing different stuff. You can take anti-air missiles or on the ground or whatever. But what I mean is, it would be interesting if you had different helicopters that had a much more kind of sort of default spec, like they have different equipment available, different missile choices to another piece of, another helicopter, something like that. But we did talk in detail about the whole jets, no jets thing before. But Matimio, I didn't ever hear what you thought about the whole jets. Do you think they should be in Battlefield or not anymore? Obviously, sort of coming from Bad Company 2 and then going to this now. Do you think they've have a negative thing? Are they too powerful, or should they be in the game at all? What do you think?
No, I've had this talk with Levelcap. I'm basically on board with him, and it just causes problems. Not only do they just dominate, but they have to try to balance it with, and what they try to balance it, and they did that with stingers and lock-on stuff. And I hate lock-on missiles for any first-person shooter. I just think that there's no way to balance it correctly. So what you have now is that if you're in a helicopter, you just get taken out by Stinger missiles all the time because DICE balanced the Stinger missiles to try to take out jets.
Yeah, there's no under radar, right, for helicopters. Right. For Stingers, ground to air.
Right. And so I actually like your idea, Luetin, just to have a bunch of different helicopter options. Like that would be cool. Yeah. And get rid of lock-ons and just have it more skill-based.
Yeah.
That's what I would like.
I mean, I'm not talking about obviously like 4 per map or anything like that, but maybe you have like 2 heli. I mean, I know we have 2 helis now. You have attack and you have the transport helicopter pretty much. But I would just like to see a kind of slight expansion, a little swelling on that. So we just have maybe 2 different variations of attack heli, 2 different variations of transport and so on. Something like that would be kind of interesting. I like the idea of the transport helicopter being able to pick up vehicles, like the Super Stallions do, and just pick up like Humvees or tanks and transport them to different positions from the map and stuff like that. I think that would be awesome, especially if you had larger scale maps and we were like, okay, we've got a major problem down at A, we've got tanks going on, all your tanks are back at your base. Okay, little squad, 1 guy's in the heli, you got your other guys jump in the tanks, pick them up and off you go. I like that idea of being able to kind of get across the map quite quickly. I think that'd be cool, but maybe that's in my dreamland,
Have they said if the dropship is drivable or you can pilot it? Or is it like the AC-130?
I do not know.
They haven't mentioned if you can pilot it. I would imagine. Actually, I think they did confirm that it was going to be something like the AC-130.
Oh, fun.
But
like,
at least it won't
work?
I guess it'll. I don't know.
Wrap out a tank every minute and a half.
Yeah, like how
that
is
could be really bad
team?
if it lands like say in the enemy hands or
Oh,
something.
here, have a tank.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been a fan of the spawn system in BF3, but that's another.
No, it's not another topic.
And can you rendezvous in the tank as a
Yeah.
drop?
Go on,
That's
Level.
what I want to know.
Level, tell us.
Tell us what you always get this setup where you're trying to bring vehicles to the front line fast, and people don't want to always drive them back from the spawn point. So sometimes you can spawn them up at flags, but it's just so easy for like enemies to take vehicles that your team just hasn't gotten into yet. There's always been a problem with that, and it's become so commonplace that people are associate it with what Battlefield always has been, and they're like, no, it's tradition, vehicle stealing out of spawns and all this kind of stuff. And you get a big backlash from the community if you ever try and say, well, what if vehicles weren't just sitting around and you had to like sort of activate them, or you just couldn't take enemy vehicles? I mean, like, honestly, in wartime, how many people are going to leave their keys in their attack helicopter?
No, it's fair
when
enough.
they set it down on the ground, I mean, it adds
what
sort
about
of craziness to it, but it's still kind of weird. And I never liked that some team can just kind of sneak in behind, take all your vehicles, and then all of a sudden, the team that just wasn't ready right from the get-go is outmatched 2-1 with tanks or something.
There's 2 things I would like to add in. One is, I think you're right, but I think that perhaps once a vehicle has moved out from a base, okay, then it's like considered active. All right, and then it's when it's kind of its initial stationary position or whatever at any base, if it was conquest or if it was rush and you were starting from a point. But once you've actually started taking it forward, it becomes kind of live. So you can't steal vehicles from a base; they will be there. But once it started moving forward, then it becomes kind of active. The second thing that I kind of think, and I don't know what you guys think about this, I think we maybe talked about it before, Level, was this idea that perhaps rather than these kind of instantaneous jump in and out of a vehicle, it maybe takes like a second or 2, like a slight animation of you actually getting out of the vehicle. Well, the main reason for it, there's 2 main reasons for it. One is to kind of prevent people from like instant stealing vehicles and things like that. Is that what I mean? Yeah, I think maybe. But
Yeah.
Or jumping in and pot shotting the guy instantly.
yes, exactly. But also, if your vehicle gets like sort of 15, 20%, you have to make a judgment of like, okay, do I realistically think that I can survive? Or am I going to bail right now? And they have to make that time decision of when they're going to get out, because if they don't, they will get destroyed. But it's just kind of wait. I hate it when you've nearly got a kill, someone goes down to like 5% and they bail out and you never get a kill. I know a lot of people in the air get very frustrated with that, and you can't get any kills. I don't know. Do you think that would be a good thing to bring in? Or?
Yeah, well, also just aesthetically too. It's 2013. Aren't we tired of infantry just popping up next to vehicles when they get out and popping in? It's kind of, it reminds me of like really old school games, Half-Life or the first games that had vehicles in them. It looks bad. And, I thought Halo was going to sort of change the standards on that when they're like, hey, check this out. There's an animation for getting into and out of every vehicle. It looks good. And look, if you time it right, you can still have a lot of fun with getting into and out of vehicles at the right time. In fact, I really enjoyed the challenge of trying to like get out of the Jeep just at the right time as you're driving past something to get onto a ledge or whatever. But it hasn't really redefined the vehicle first-person shooter games yet. So
have you guys played Far Cry 3 at all?
No. Want to.
None of you have. Oh my god, seriously.
I know people are enjoying that game.
I'm enjoying the game greatly, but one of the things I love most about it is the way they have made the character sort of dynamic. Like the way, like if you run and jump down a slight slope, he'll kind of slip and have to put his hands down on the ground to kind of stop himself falling. And when you skid and slide and things like that. But also when you
Does that take away from your shooting mechanism? So it's actually like a penalty?
This is kind of more single player, but as well, it is kind of I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I haven't played the multiplayer, I have to say, so I don't know. I have to look at it, but I would imagine that it would be kind of like an action. So yeah, I would imagine you wouldn't be able to continue shooting whilst you were doing that kind of movement, if that indeed is in it. But where I was going with this was the vehicle aspect and the fact that it's so great in the vehicles. For example, I noticed you can drive jet skis to get around the kind of water areas, all right? And if you are in the water and you come up from the side of the jet ski, you pull yourself up onto the seat. If you're at the back,
cool.
If you're at the back, you pull yourself onto the vehicle in a completely different way. So if you're on the side, like I say, you'll drag yourself up and sort of onto the seat. If you're behind, you kind of come on it from sort of both hands, if you're with me. Like, you come up to the back and pull onto the jet ski like that. And it's the same with a couple of the different things in the game, that you can kind of do one movement but in a couple of different ways depending on what position you are actually near the vehicle. You can also do the great thing of like when you're driving along, if you've still got a bit of motion and you jump out, you'll roll along the ground and things like that. So it's really great. They've thought about it really well, and they could totally do this into Battlefield. And just my last point to sort of explain what I said when I said that action of kind of getting in and out of vehicles would prevent people from stealing it. I really hate getting out of tanks. I really do, because I hate it when I'm down to like 10% and there's a guy running around next to me with a repair tool or something like that. And I'm trying to back away, but obviously I'm damaged, so you can't move quickly, I don't have any engineers near to help, and this guy's taking me down, and I'm like, I don't want to get out because I know as soon as I get out, he's going to take it off of me or whatever. If they had a 2-second action to get in, well, yeah, it would allow you to jump out, and if he tried to get in, you would be able to shoot him. Think of it in the same way as like, when someone's going to knife, you have that small opportunity to take that person out before they finish knifing the other guy. It would be like that, but for vehicles. That's where I'm coming from with it.
X-Factor, what was it that you said at the beginning that you wanted to talk about?
Just like the things you think the developers have learned or grafted off the community going forward towards Battlefield 4. Like, what do you think some of the key elements that they need to take from this game, or that they necessarily didn't design into BF3 that they need to put into BF4?
Yeah. What do you think about refinement? Battlefield 3 seems like it's been all over the place. Each expansion has been completely different. Nobody knows what to expect. Like, are we going to get gameplay that we like, or am I going to hate this expansion?
Are you talking about more of a defined game? Here's the game.
Yeah.
Here's our parameters. We're going to do close quarter infantry centric stuff. Well, that's kind of Bad Company 2. And I agree with that. If you're gonna have a game like Bad Company 2, what was Bad Company 2? Mostly infantry centric stuff, a little bit of tank play, a little bit of helicopter play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
it was
was
a
it.
good balance.
It was
though.
it was an on the ground game. I think it would be the
Yeah.
way to sort of say it. Really.
Yeah, it was a grunt game, a ground smasher game. Battlefield 3, Level said it. It's all over the place. Armored Kill. I can't even find Armored Kill servers anymore to play on. Close Quarters. That seemed to be somewhat popular. Aftermath seems to be really popular. Karkin, really popular. But if you look at the gambit from one expansion to another, it's almost as if they could have been their own game in the franchise, if you will.
Rival. Now, an interesting one. Me and Level have talked about this. Do you think that's deliberate? Do you think they have deliberately made each DLC very, very different so that going into Battlefield 4, they can say, all right, A was successful, C wasn't, and D was successful. We're going to focus the game.
It's also trying to establish a new demographic and a money grab from other successful franchises, right? So Close Quarters, kind of like the COD thing, right? So they're going after that crowd. Some of the vanilla maps had that flavor to it. Some of the aftermath maps had that flavor to it. So it's more about diversifying and not limiting what they've done in the past. Because again, I don't know how many copies Battlefield, the original Battlefield sold. Wasn't many. And then the next successive game, slow growth. So what they're going for now is to appease and to appeal to as many people possible. And I think they've been successful in that. They sold at least 17 million copies. So I think their outlook would be, how do we sell 25 to 30 million copies of the next game? What do we have to include in this game to start luring people in? Well, we need the vehicle guys. We need the jet guys. We need the infantry guys. How do we do that? Different maps, different gameplay modes, and things of that nature.
Yeah, so it just becomes a giant sandbox almost, and it's a good idea from a business standpoint. From a game standpoint, I think it hurts it because you have less time to refine each game style and each game mode, and you try and balance for each one individually. It's like I was talking with that Sturdy Wings guy, and he usually only flies helicopters on the new Armored Kill maps because they balance the maps. The stingers and anti-air stuff for Armored Kill. You go back to the standard maps, the ranges are so much smaller that it's absolutely horribly balanced. It's really hard to fly on those if you got a team of guys who knows what they're doing. So just the expanse of having all these different game modes, I think has made it really hard to refine and balance and just kind of focus on making specific game types really fun to play and really well balanced.
Here's one for you. We're thinking a little bit about Battlefield 4. Now, the fact that Battlefield 4 was most likely in development, but consider this, we don't really know when these next generation consoles are going to come out. It's pretty much guaranteed that Battlefield 4 is going to be released. We don't know, perhaps in the next year or so, not this year, but obviously 14 or something.
I think it's early 2014, right?
Yeah,
first quarter.
14. It would make sense in the sort of timescale they normally take to produce these things. Now, we don't have a specific date for the new consoles. Do you think it's a given that they're going to be coming onto the new consoles? And also, what do you think it will mean to Battlefield if it doesn't come out on those new consoles? It's a possibility that it could come out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. I mean, I know PC players would be not pleased if that was the case.
Yeah.
Well, I heard someone sent me, I don't know if it was photoshopped or anything like that, but he sent me a picture of a tweet from one of the DICE people saying that the Battlefield 4 beta would be on the current consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think I saw that too.
I mean, what do you
I
read
saw
into
it
that?
somewhere
how
too.
in the world that like how could you have the beta on the current and then transfer it? That doesn't make sense to me.
Here's
So
what
it
I
scared me.
think I remember reading or at least hearing was that there would be the release on the current gen consoles, and that would support 32 or 24 player maps, and there's a potential for a release on next gen consoles, in which case they would go for full 64 player support.
That's interesting.
So I think that would be the difference between them.
That seems a weird thing. I mean, I would have thought that in so many ways it would have to be built for one or the other.
So let me ask you this: in the world of coding, what does it take to simply in the world of coding, what does it take to simply bump up player limits, right?
But surely it has loads of implications on other parameters, not just graphic limits, player limits. I would have thought there would be so much more that they could do with the game in terms of
if they code it based on the limitations of the 24-man servers in mind, right? Low destruction, whatever they got to do for the design aesthetics, and then just roll that into larger player counts.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where they're coming from as well. Like, if they're going into it with this kind of preconceived mindset that, okay, we have the possibility to go both ways with it, if they've approached it from that direction, you know? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go with it. But I don't know. I really hope that they just sort of wait. You know, I'd rather that they just delay it and wait and release it on the next consoles than push it forward and rush it through for whatever reason that would be. I have no idea why they would feel it was a good thing to release right now. I mean,
money grab. Title's hot. Let's pump this out. Next game is going to be Bad Company 3, 2143.
No, come on.
They're just going to keep pumping them out.
Yeah, but what are they talking about? Like, it surely could only be like a couple of months in terms of what they would be waiting. I think it would be a dire mistake because Battlefield is a massive. It's supposed to be larger numbers. That's the Battlefield experience that we all love and cherish, right? Yeah. I mean, actually, here's a question. I asked some of my subs a couple of questions and things like this, and one of the questions was, do you think that 64 players is too much for Battlefield? Now, I know that in some maps it will work well, but they were saying, do you think overall it's better to stick to kind of 32? Does it suit the game better? Do you find that overall it gives better gameplay? Or do you just think they need to kind of tailor certain maps so that only the bigger maps can be 64, so you don't end up with these crazy situations where it's just a kind of, a meat grinder? I mean, what do you think?
Leave it up to the admins, because if you put it out there, if people enjoy it, they'll fill your server. If you pick a bad server count with a bad rotation, your server is going to be empty.
Yeah, definitely. Level.
The problem I have with that approach is that the majority of your players are newbies, new players, people trying to rank up. Fastest way to do that is to get into a meat grinder server. You get a ton of those servers filling up. And so I think you get the new majority sort of dictating what most of the servers are going to be like. And then it becomes harder to find servers that suit your play style or what you want. So I almost prefer preventing certain admin controls, like forcing 64 players onto Metro Conquest, that's just never been a well-balanced game. It never will be. But yet it's hugely popular. Screen mode? Yeah, but it's hugely popular because you just chuck a grenade, you get some kills, you get points, you start ranking up.
But what people don't realize is, you get that fluff points, but you're also slowing your score per minute potential. There's maps where the flow is what gets you the higher score per minute when you're engaging face-to-face.
Well, not for newbies, though. Maybe for you, maybe for skilled players who in small engagements can win them. But in giant clusterfucks, that's where new players excel, because they can throw a grenade. They often find people not expecting them because it's just chaos, and they can get a kill here and there. And that's why those servers are popular. But I wish they would take some of that control away and force people into just well-balanced maps.
So you just want like 64 on all, and then have them balance it all 64.
No, I think certain maps should be dictated for 64, like Conquest Large would be 64. Conquest Normal Size, 32. And you could choose those in your map rotations for the server. But beyond that, you couldn't force 64 on Metro or these other smaller maps.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah,
I think it'd be the way to. No, sorry, I was going to say. I think it's got to be the way to go. I mean, obviously, as a console player, it's difficult for me to comment in many ways. But I think just from what I've seen and watched videos online and so on and so on, I just think that makes just common sense to do that. I think in the same way that close quarters are sort of set to sort of 16 as their sort of default size for those maps because they're small and because the more players you have and so on. I mean, obviously admin controls, you can change it around, but I think they need to kind of try and say, look, we've made this a certain way for a certain reason.
Hardwire it.
yeah, you know, we're going to give you some options, but in essence, we want the game to be played out this way, and so on and so on. Having said that, I've seen plenty of messages from DICE devs before who say, you know, in a game of Battlefield, they expect to see 4 guys playing the objective, 4 guys doing tricks with their jet in the air, and 4 guys running around just sort of throwing C4 at people. That's their expectation.
17 scope glares in the background.
Yeah, you know, seriously, that's
well,
their,
you
that's
know,
their
the
expectation of the
devs
game.
also, I don't think, play their game that much. Also.
You know,
I don't know.
And that's,
Just based on their
something
feedback.
I have to give the PlanetSide guys kudos to, is these guys play. Every single one of these developers, they go home and play their product. They play with the community. They talk with the community. They're it's a wonderful community-based relationship that's going on. So, you know, there's massive threads detailing what's wrong with the game, what they're addressing, what they're working on, what their 3-month plan is, what their 6-month plan is. That's awesome. Why can't we get more of that from different developers?
I
think DICE is old. You know, I mean, before the social media revolution that Twitter and Facebook and everything's brought around,
Reddit.
they're sort of stuck in their ways of doing
you
things
think
because
that's
it's been successful.
Well,
I think
they've
is.
got EA there as well, though. Don't forget that.
Or is it's that I'm going to agree with the level, or is it we're going to make the product we want to, and that's that? Could it be a little bit of that?
Yeah, but if they were going to do that, then surely they would be much more strict in terms of, like we say, admin rules and other things like this. They don't seem to be so strict when it comes to those things, or even when they tell people what they think of as their game. But when it comes to other things, they seem to be, so it's like, you know, it's half and half. It's a bit weird. I think EA has a large part to play in terms of communication. They seem to be really holding the reins on that one, and then DICE is actually, you know, the other side with it.
If there's one piece of advice I could give DICE and EA, who make good content, right? They make good games. No one can deny that. Moving forward, listen to your community. Give them a heads up on a weekly basis. Just one time a week. Here's what we're working on. Here's what we're addressing. Hey, we've got a problem with this bug. We're having a hard time tracking it down. But just talk with us. Yeah. Let us know. The people will love you for that because they're in the loop. When we're in the dark, we assume they're not doing anything, right?
Definitely, and I think they should, you know, appreciate when gamers themselves, producers, commentators actually take the time to test things in game, because as we've seen, and the same with PlanetSide, you know, a lot of the time you'll find people who will spend huge amounts of their own time testing stuff out, working it through. And I've seen and heard from developers and people before say that they often literally do not have the time and resources available to fully test stuff before it comes out. I mean, this is what's been said with some of the glitches that came out with Battlefield first, things like the USAS and stuff like that. They have said that, you know, they didn't have the time available to, you know, they said, you know, you can't expect to resolve everything as it comes out, so it's kind of a working process.
Let us be the testers.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to have that tie into the community. You know, for instance, there's been a couple of Reddit threads where some of the community managers have commented, "Hey, give us every bug known to mankind," and there is a master list that's been popped up a couple times. Where was the feedback on that?
Yeah,
you just had all these people figure out all these wacky bugs, glitches, and broken things in the game.
Yeah,
give us something on that, right?
But also, like when you have producers like Level and you and me and Matimio and people who actually will take time to look at something and provide a comment on it and say, okay, I've been finding this happens a lot in game. I think that it should be done this way. Now they can look at that and take it on board. But what they should do is sort of say, hey, you know, this guy has some sensible opinions. He obviously knows what he's talking about. He's obviously put plenty of time into what he's talking about in the game. We should try and sort of be more aware of what he's saying regularly and provide a little bit of feedback between people. I think it'd be really constructive, and I think the community in general would really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, it's weird, you know. It's hard to compare PlanetSide and BF3 communities because the PlanetSide community, I've noticed, seems to be a little bit older, sort of like more mature guys that are interested in strategy and combined efforts and all this stuff, and that's
they care about the overall picture instead of what's at the end of their scope.
Yeah, what's easy to compare the communities is just go to the Reddits. You know, the Battlefield Reddit.
Oh my god!
Is like, hey, look at this picture of this guy in this pose that looks like he's doing whatever, like PlanetSide
his head stuck
Reddit.
in the wall. 700 upvotes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the Battlefield community.
It strongly depresses me, seriously.
The PlanetSide community is like, check out this tutorial on how to better fly or outfit this thing or whatever, you know.
Or thesis on the metagame. You know?
Yeah, they do have stupid stuff on there, but it's
Well,
far less
that's-
popular. What's
That's
that?
partly it's a new game, so everyone is looking for strategies and stuff like that. And now that Battlefield is so old, people are
Yeah.
like, well, whatever. So
No, you're definitely right, Matimio. I mean, but also, I mean, Battlefield 3 has been around for like this last year or whatever, so people are really starting to get to the, you know, the core of what's there. They've kind of done everything every which way, whereas, like you say, PlanetSide do. Okay, it's not been around that long. There's still loads of things working it through, and so on and so on. People are finding out new things all the time, I am sure. So yeah,
Yeah, I found a new tactic that I've never used before. Mortar killing people in deployment. That's fun.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
That is fun.
yes.
I have 20 some mortar
Battlefield.
kills now. Bring it.
Anyway, I'm just going to ask Rival. Do you want to? Are you good, man, or do you want to step out now?
That's it. I gotta go. I got a match tonight, guys. I started competing again.
Man. Well, good luck with that, and thanks for joining us. And
Yeah, take it easy.
see
Hey,
you soon.
thank you for having me. Luetin, feel better.
No worries. Yeah, I will do, man.
And then I will see you guys later on.
Okay. Cheers, man.
Hey, thank you again, guys.
So, yeah,
All right, we'll just carry on for like 15 here, if that's cool with you guys.
Yep.
sure.
Endgame. Excited for it, or an expansion too far, Matimio? What do you think?
An expansion too far.
Yes,
Very
expansion
cool.
too far. Yeah, you know what I'm doing there.
I'm excited. It's an expansion. I'm gonna love everything that comes from Battlefield.
Motorbikes.
Usually.
Motorbikes. I'm really hoping the motorbikes are like the Chuck Norris ones with missile launchers on the front, and you know.
My favorite thing about the trailer was that they were like advertising like you're gonna have these epic motorcycle battles. You're not gonna have anything like that. Are you kidding me?
No, it's not going to happen. See. But I will be excited to see who can do the most exciting montage of motorbikes in the first week, or
Yes.
or
I have
the
high hopes for it.
I was going to say the mandatory motorbike video, which will come down. I'm glad to say that I didn't do a crossbow video level, but
It's fine. It's fine. Hey,
I could take it.
Google
I could take it.
Expo. You know, Google Expo. See what pops up there,
but,
Luetin.
but you got the you got the stats wrong, dude. So you know, you
Yeah.
got.
You didn't
Don't
get them
even.
wrong. You just didn't mention something. Like there's
I got burned
We are
on that
not
too.
talking about that. We're not
so
talking
anyway,
about that.
I am
Yeah, go
excited for Endgame. We haven't seen anything from the maps themselves, but the quick little glance that we did get, it kind of looks like they're going more towards the normal Battlefield 3 maps, like Caspian and stuff along those lines. Well, a person sent me a message, and they were saying, where are all the normal Battlefield maps in these expansions? It's always like some sort of weird, like close quarters or large. Where's the ones where they actually work? And I'd say Aftermath, it resembles that closest.
Closer, yeah.
But where's the Caspian, where infantry is important, but you also have helicopters, tanks all playing their part as well. And you don't see that in these 3 expansions. They all got their own little thing going on, and hopefully they're going more towards that with Endgame, because those are the maps that I really like, and I think that provides the real Battlefield experience.
Do you think it's going to be one of those ones again? Do you think they've learnt from the fact that Karkand and Aftermath have been so popular because probably of their map design and style? I mean, do you think they had these things planned out so far in advance that they can't have taken that on board, or do you think they will have been able to keep it sort of in mind for this? What do you think?
I'm sure they had a lot of leeway to change things along the ways. You know, it's like how they're sort of talking about US maps popping up in an expansion. Everybody assumed it would be one of these last 2 expansions. Now we're not sure if they're coming out. I mean, they've clearly had time to change their plans on what they're doing. As somebody who's designed maps in like the Unreal Engine, it's not going to take you a year to put together a Battlefield map. It will take you a long time if you want to make a good-looking map, but they have plenty of time to completely change the layout and theme and format and whatever. So I'm hoping that they've put a lot of this stuff in based on what they've learned, or perhaps they're testing a completely new style to see how it fares, and then learn from that more and base Battlefield 4 on it. Helicopter and motorcycle jump maps. You know, you gotta design a map around motorcycles doing jumps over helicopter.
It's like the new Black Ops map that's coming out. It's actually a skate park, so you're gonna need
Oh yeah, that
paddle
is no. I've
field.
seen that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Dude,
mean-
rollerblades in the next Battlefield expansion.
No,
Maybe.
oh my god, no.
Skateboards and
Rockets.
rollerblades.
Yeah, you could have a
Rocket-powered rollerblades.
Rocket-powered rollerblades.
snow
There we
map.
go.
You could have a snow map. Snow maps with husky dogs, rocket powered sleds. That's
But
what we want.
to make sure that the rollerblades aren't OP, you have to counter them with a expo that shoots a grappling hook so you can trip people. Like you can shoot across the tree.
It's only reasonable. It's only reasonable.
Yeah, you
That
got
would
to
work for the
counterbalance
motorbikes
these
as
things.
well. That would work for the bikes as well, though. So maybe it'll be coming in endgame, and they just haven't said level. You don't know. You don't know. We have a
true.
good ability to predict these things.
You know what? I want pets in Endgame. I want a dog.
Oh, go like
It's gonna
World of
follow
Warcraft
me around.
and do the
No,
whole
you don't.
Pokemon system.
You want a
can, like,
dinosaur.
You can, there's birds, there's eagles in Battlefield. You see them flying around, right?
Yeah,
You could
every
like
now and
capture
then
one
you
of
see the
them
bird.
and then have little duels like in World of
yeah,
Warcraft.
they should add a new class and it should be the Falconer. And you just have a
Yes!
falcon.
I don't
and
know
you
why
can
DICE
train
hasn't
that.
hired us right now.
We're just gonna have to split off and make our own game to compete with all the things that DICE just isn't putting into Battlefield, like
It should do.
falconing.
It could be like an entire expansion of itself, just a complete crazy thing with all of the ideas just kind of mashed into one.
rollerblading falconers.
You
We're
have levels amazing zombie come dinosaur idea, which was really good. Remember that one?
I didn't understand what you're saying at first, and I was thinking about zombie dinosaurs. I think that's even better, to be honest.
No,
Because
no.
let's be honest, like they're not just going to come back. Maybe they come back because they're zombies, right?
Oh man.
Be awesome.
I do like the idea
like
of having
it.
a zombie.
You know what, maybe they
T-Rex or
should just
something like that running down the
merge
road.
with the Alien franchise, and then we could have like Battlefield Aliens. It'd be awesome.
But no, I don't know. Endgame, I'll be interested to see what it can do for things. But I mean, it's going to be like a long time as well after Endgame before the next one comes along. So they've kind of done all these DLCs, and there's going to be a huge gap.
There's been rumors of new DLCs after Endgame, correct?
Yeah, I did
Really?
hear something vaguely about this.
I heard
I
it's
believe
done.
I've heard about that. So I guess
heard
it's
it's
not
over.
going to be included in the premium pack. So I guess whoever's hanging around.
I
will
hope
buy
it'll be something
What?
like I hope it'll be something like Vietnam. I hope it'll be something
a
kind
throwback.
of an
That would
expansion.
make me happy.
Well, like a kind of standalone thing, something like that.
As long as they put the time into it. I don't want more straw huts that are indestructible to tank fire.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's going to be. Yeah, I'm not saying it should be Vietnam. By the way, I'm just saying something along those lines. I think could be interesting. Like anything, just something that's kind of
World
not
War
Battlefield
II,
3, but
1943, or 2143.
I mean, we pretty much know as well that Battlefield 4 is going to be kind of roughly the same time period, maybe a little bit forward. I don't
It's
know.
very popular, is the
but-
thing. People like modern guns.
Yeah, absolutely. And also that there are like loads of restrictions when it comes to kind of older periods because they just literally didn't have so many types of weapons. So you're very, very restricted in what you can use in those games. But people have kind of suggested if they were going to make another one as well, like people sort of talk about Bad Company, but do you think they would actually be able to make an interesting enough sort of World War II variation? Would there be like, because it always deals with like Europe, etc., or it's always Europe and Japan for obvious
Right.
reasons. Maybe a little bit of Russia or something like that. But do you think there's some kind of other areas and stuff? I mean, they have covered what was that game? Was it? It might be one of the Call of Duties or Medal of Honor. I don't know which one it was, but I know they went to kind of like sort of Africa and things like that as well. There was some missions for those. Anyway, do you think they would be able to do a kind of period game successfully enough with the kind of limitations? Do you think it would be popular enough if they went back? Would you be interested even to see that with the kind of the engine that we have right now?
I think it's largely dependent on if they can still integrate all the cool customization and strategy and squad perks and all that stuff. If you can still integrate cool stuff like that to the engine, so I don't feel like we're stepping back as a game also in time. Like I want to keep all the cool additions and upgrading and customizing your character and all that stuff from the modern games. If they can keep that in old school games, that'd be great. The problem with those old school games is like the guns and stuff back then didn't, at least to my knowledge, probably didn't have as much customization
No, they
options.
definitely didn't.
You know,
No.
like you didn't have you couldn't put a laser and a suppressor and your ACOG scope on there or whatever. It was just kind of like you get what you get. Maybe you can change out the sights or something. But
Maybe it would just have to be the kind of thing like a standalone then, like 1943, because that was so popular and it's still pretty fun. Maybe they should make a kind of scaled down version using the same engine, just as a kind of point to do that. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be fun, but
I think it would be really cool, but Levelcap's absolutely right. Will people accept not having as much customization, not having the cool factor of what's already in video games right now? But it just comes down to if they can nail that, it's just a different setting. Like that's the only difference. I mean, first-person shooters always have that problem of not being unique in anything other than their, slight differences in their game mechanics.
I think developers also are finding out that modern guns and modern settings is so much more successful thematic wise and easier to market. I get these really funny comments when I post PlanetSide videos about people just hating science fiction so much, and like they just hate fictional guns and fictional weaponry. And like somebody left me a comment that was like, I tried PlanetSide 2, but I just couldn't stand the whole sci-fi stuff. And I was like,
they can't relate. They can't relate to it.
Exactly. And I think that's actually pretty common. I mean, I'm mocking him because I don't agree. I think people need to, have a better imagination. But at the same time, I think the fact is not enough people do. And so modern first-person shooters really are just highly successful.
There's loads of amazing guns that come from kind of future things. Like one of my favorites of all has got to be in Turok 2. Do you remember? Do you ever play that game? Turok 2?
I played the first one.
Long time ago, yeah.
On the 64. Do you remember the cerebral bore? You remember that gun?
Sounds awesome, but no.
If you look it up, it's hilarious.
Cerebral.
It basically fires like this kind of flying drill at the head of an enemy, and it kind of auto-seeks. It's this kind of weird gun, and it basically fires this thing, and it sounds like a drill. It's
See,
like,
at first I thought you meant the gun itself had some sort of intelligence to it, but I get it now.
It's like a head-seeking thing. It fires this little ball with a drill on, and it attaches itself to the head of the enemy, and then just starts drilling until their head explodes. It's awesome. It's really good.
Apparently, there's some heavy metal band named Cerebral Bore.
Cerebral Bore.
So
okay,
I'm not fighting the gun.
Loads of good weapons. I'm trying to think of other ones now as well, but no, definitely.
Well, Unreal Tournament, like the little blade launcher that would bounce around corners.
Yeah.
You find some guy in a hallway and you just aim it at the wall and it bounces until it cuts his head off or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, what was I thinking of as well?
Goo launcher.
Halo obviously had loads of... Not Halo. What the hell am I talking about? Wash my mouth out.
Half-Life?
Half-Life, yeah. Best thing ever. Snarks, I still can't... They're the most fun thing ever.
Gravity gun. Like,
Gravity gun.
Never gets old pushing a car on top of somebody. Like...
I always used to just enjoy sitting somewhere quietly camping, and two people run beneath you, and you just throw a load of snarks down and watch them fight it out. And then when they're low on health, so you just drop down and go and just finish them off. That was always hilarious fun, especially when we used to play this at school, like in our sixth form room, and we'd have like 5 PCs like land up all playing Half-Life, and we had it all modded and stuff. So we had all different character models. So you'd have like Kermit the Frog running around with a railgun, and it was the most frustrating thing. Anyone who had the Kermit the Frog model, we kind of really disliked because he was like, I don't know, a quarter of the height of everyone else.
He was the odd job of Half-Life.
Yeah, but to a really extreme degree, and so trying to hit him with a crossbow or anything was an absolute nightmare. And you'd always position your laser mine wrong, and Kermit the Frog could just run under it.
It's very lanky, it's hard to hit his limbs.
Yeah, he would run really weird, and I'm getting too hung up on Kermit the Frog here. But anyway, there you go.
Where's this talk going?
I know, yeah, we're going all over the place. Level started off when he started thinking of crazy things for endgame. It's just gone. We haven't got Rival here to kind of keep things real, That's.
Yeah, I think Rival would feed upon this right now.
Yes.
We'll have him back. For another one. It was something I just thought of though before when we're talking about DLCs, and we talked a little bit about Bad Company 2 and how they were free. Now, a lot of people that come to play on my server, okay, obviously my server, I try to make it so that it's kind of early on, so that most people can play on my server. So I have it like I had it on Aftermath recently, and then I changed it to Carcand and just vanilla games right now. It gives people, that don't have all those things the opportunity to play, and so I can play with more people. But do you think that alongside the normal DLCs, they could throw in maybe 1 or 2 in the life of the game that are free? Maybe they don't have as much as the premium ones, the kind of the pay for ones, but as with Bad Company 2, when you buy this game, you're guaranteed to get 2 free DLCs. Do you think that would be a good thing to do in the life of the game? Some
Absolutely.
people kind of,
from
I
a
would like to
business
see it.
perspective and from just being good to the community perspective. Think about it. You throw free stuff into a game, and then everybody who hasn't played that game for a month is like, oh, there's a new gun or there's a new map that I get access to and I don't have to play. They'll come back. Maybe they'll re-pique their interest in the game because they'll see how things have been fixed and balanced better. And all of a sudden then they decide they want to drop a little money on some of the paid expansions.
Exactly.
There's no reason not to do it.
Matimio, do you think so?
I mean, I'm all for free stuff. I'm no marketer by any means, so I don't know, if that's a viable option.
But you want to be a politician, which is practically the same thing. So
right. The only thing is how many people are actually buying the expansion packs individually. I
don't know about that. I know that premium is sold pretty well. So
I think it's sold somewhere around 2 million maybe by now, compared to the 17 million overall copies of Battlefield. So you do have to wonder.
It's not bad though when you consider that most DLCs don't sell anywhere near as well as the original one. And when you think about what they're asking for it in terms of money, I mean it's as much as the game itself. Yeah. Right. So I think what you're seeing there is the kind of the core Battlefield players, the people who are like, dedicated and I'm seeing this through till the end. They're the ones who are obviously buying it. I'm sure that you'll find that some people are buying in the individual ones on top as well. But like you say, I think it would really help them to throw in 1 or 2 through the life. And they don't need to be as big. It could be 2. It could be 2 maps with no weapons. It could be just something to kind of get people more interested in it and bring it back in. And like we were saying before, I mean,
that's why we loved them in Bad Company too. They gave us all this free stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So,
and personally, if I were running the reins over there, I would make all the maps free and charge for guns and any cool camos or whatever that comes out.
Can you imagine the outcry though?
The outcry from who?
Everyone. They'd be like, "You're paying now. It's pay to win." They'd be like, which is the same thing for They're like, oh. Yeah.
Well, who cares about the outcry? You get more players. You get more people playing all the new expansions. And the people who are crying about it would eventually cough up the money, get the new guns, and figure out that, for the most part, they could do just as well with the base guns. Like,
just saying, there'd be outcry.
Yeah, there would. There's always outcry, though. I think it's funny that people would complain more about getting free stuff and having to pay for the guns as opposed to having to pay for everything.
It's true. But, I mean, when it comes to getting other bits and pieces, Battlefield 4, another one as well, do you think that stuff like skins and weapon skins and physical character skins, do you think those should be more than they are now? Because they're fairly limited.
Yeah,
but I want to get some bloody character skins that actually do something, not just, you can't even see them. They have so little impact into the game.
Yeah.
And I really would like to see some proper variation, things that actually affect your character, specifically stuff like snipers and things like that. But I really, really would like it. I mean, do you think that'd be a good thing to bring in as well?
Absolutely. I think
how would they go about it? Like how would they implement something like that?
How would they implement it? You mean like what would it be like? Or
so let's say I'm playing as an assault class. Yeah. What is my uniform differences going to affect?
Blacklight.
How is it going to affect my performance? I haven't played it, so
okay. Well, okay. I think every FPS developer out there should go play Blacklight Retribution. I don't like the game because of certain balance decisions they made, but as far as customizing your character and guns and stuff, they are far ahead of the curve. And how they do things in there, it's like you could have say 10 different torso pieces to choose from for your character, 10 different leg pieces, and 10 different helmet pieces or something like that. And each one gives you different attributes. Like one torso piece might not give you as much health, but it'll allow you to run faster, and maybe it'll allow you to aim down sights a little bit quicker or something like that. One might give you a ton of health, but it's going to reduce your run speed a lot and affect something else. So they've got all these cool little stats, and all of a sudden people are getting into the game and they're customizing the crap out of their character, like being super fast but having no health, or being these crazy slow tanker units, or having a good balanced class.
So what's the difference between that and specializations, though?
Well, it's a different way of applying them, but you're not.
It would be like a
bound.
base thing. It would be like a base thing before you go on to those other things. So maybe the specializations have a slightly larger impact, but what Level's talking about, maybe they are just kind of base influences. So if you stack your character right, it's going to have a kind of knock-on effect when you actually get into the game. I kind of like it, but I think it needs to be done in a very kind of clinical way. You don't want to go too far with it. So
I mean, it's an awesome idea. I love the idea. It's just the implementation that worries me.
And
the
having too
balancing
many
behind it.
options scares people too. If you kept it simple, like just
Yes.
3 torso models, 3 leg models, 3 helmet models or something, then people could kind of wrap their heads around it from the get-go.
I think as well, when we talk about sort of some mechanics, because that was Rival's first question today, was what mechanics could we learn from? I still think, and I know you guys think the same, that the medic revive option needs to be changed a little bit. That's one thing that I really want to see in Battlefield 4. I think, Matimio, you've spoken about this plenty. But I mean, what was your final thoughts? Because we've talked about various options on these before. I haven't sort of heard what you guys have lately said about it. We talked about the option of having like kind of a limited amount of recharges, or a recharge animation, or a couple of different things like this. Where did you kind of come down with the sort of final thought? If you were going to have it in Battlefield 4, how would you want it?
I would like an animation.
But continual, unlimited revives.
Just ultimate revives. Because like the ultimate revives, I think is fine, because if you can get the revive off, they should be able to, you're helping your team, and I think that's fine. You should always have stuff that's going to promote teamwork. But right now, the ninja revive thing is just a serious problem. Being able to like jump, Grand Bazaar comes to mind, where everyone is just instantly reviving everyone, and you can never push up because everyone's alive. The animation thing would completely get rid of that, because if you're not in a safe spot, you're going to get taken out along with your buddy, and there's just a lot more risk to it. And I think that would solve it just completely.
No more Rambo revives. It would eliminate you getting revived with a gun in your face, like over and over and over again, because the guy would have to come down there, prime his shock paddles, and he'd be dead. He wouldn't get the revive off. You don't have to worry about getting revived 5 times right into a grenade or bullets or whatever. It would just make things more tactical, speed up gameplay, make players play smarter.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think it's really, really necessary. And from an offensive point of view as well, there's nothing more frustrating than, you come around a corner, there's a couple of guys, you have a really excellent in-game moment where you manage to take out multiple targets at the same time, and then some guy comes at you from the side or whatever, you get taken down, and then you watch him res everyone who you just perfectly, you have like a perfect Zen moment where you're really on fire in game, and you're like down, 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 down. You take out all these guys, you get taken out without even having the opportunity to defend yourself, and then they just take it all away from you. It's absolutely so frustrating. It really is. So I think it does need to be changed. My last other thing as well, the animations. I have no doubt that this won't appear in Battlefield 4, but I still really, really want it. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I will actually post like a little link. What it is, as I've said before, in Killzone, between the objectives, it was on the game mode for Killzone 3 of operations, and what happens, think of it as Rush. You destroy the first set of MCOMs. There is then a animation which actually includes the players from the round, and the animation moves you onto the next base. So instead of having that weird delay period, you have like an animation period. It would do 2 things as well. It would stop people from doing the constant running forward, and it also would it kind of gives everyone a chance to kind of be prepared, so then you're onto the second base or third base or fourth base. But it also adds a kind of real kind of story animated element to the game. So with the Killzone operations, for example, every time you move forward, there was an animation which actually had a literal kind of relationship to what you were doing in the game.
So the world, and not just blowing up a box?
Yeah, definitely. No, it would.
It's an important box, though. Matimio.
It is. It is. All that intel.
No, it would be. So, for example, like, what could be a good example?
A bridge.
A bridge, or
They have it on Metro. The missile, the anti-air missiles.
yes,
That's how you get into the metro station.
Yeah, they fire off and detonate, and then it opens it up. Yeah, exactly. So things like that, it has like a literal correlation to actually what's happening in the game, and then also, perhaps the end is really, really dramatic, and you see, because you remember this from Bad Company 2, that when the end of the round would come, all the tanks would be driving into the town, and you're like, yeah, we win. Now it's just like game over, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess we won. You don't really have. I think it's good because it makes you feel more part of what you're actually doing, and I don't know whether that would actually make people feel more inclined to play the objective, but it does to me because I feel like you're kind of pushing the story forward. So
yeah,
it's
it
just
also
a nice
gives you a little
thing.
end game bragging period too. You don't have that in BF3 on PC at all. It's like, good game, it's over. Like nobody says anything. And I think you kind of
That's
miss that.
interface problems.
Well, the other
too.
thing is with Killzone 3, when you had these animations, and it does it at the beginning and at the end and so on, but basically the best players from each round are more prominently displayed in the animation. So it actually uses the characters. Cool. Yeah, it actually uses the characters. If you watch my video, I've shown you before, but you'll see that the different characters who have done better are more prominent in the end, and it actually has their player tags above. So if you have done well in the game from the objective, you are more promoted in the animation itself. So you're like, you see your character doing something really cool, and you're like, yeah, that's me, So
I want the Medal of Honor chest bumping at the end of the round. That always made me feel good. When you
What's funny is
each other.
I did like that. I did like the firefight.
Me too.
Dynamic, and like at the end being like, yeah, that's us. What up?
But when it was other people, I get jealous.
Yeah. Is there anything, just before we finish, anything outlandish that you'd like to see in Battlefield 4? Anything that you felt from like other games that you would really like to see in? I think also one more thing before we come to the end, Battle Recorder. Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it'd be a good thing to have in the game?
No, I don't want it.
Spectate mode as well?
I know why Matimio doesn't want it. And I almost feel like I've gotten so used to making videos without Battle Recorder that like I'm not really wanting it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not fussed.
And if Matimio's concerns are legit, then I definitely don't want it.
Do you want to tell us those concerns, Matimio, or is it secret?
Yeah, it's what's plaguing the Call of Duty franchise right now. They have the theater mode, and while it's awesome, the concept is so cool. Being able to get these awesome shots. If you had just imagine the montages for Battlefield. I mean, there's some amazing montages for Call of Duty, but imagine them for Battlefield 3. It would just be insane. Sure. But the problem with theater is that you get these magic bullets, and it's because they're always recording, it's always on, and you get like the lag because of it. And to put that on a large scale for Battlefield, I think it'd be even worse. And we would get these where you get shot behind a wall, and that happens in Black Ops 2 a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, also think about this. I mean, it's bad enough now people trying to do silly shit in game, but can you imagine if people have the opportunity to record stuff in Battlefield every game? There's going to be like 4 or 5 people just running around trying to do crazy things because they want to record
that's
it.
Fine.
It's not fine for me. I want people to play seriously.
Because then I get to shoot them and kill them. But I understand. I'm just worried that it would lag the system, and if it was always on and you couldn't turn it off like in a server admin thing, I think it'd be bad.
Yeah, netcode needs to be a priority. You asked about outlandish things in Battlefield. I feel like a conservative here, but I want to see things come back to the basics. I want them to polish the hell out of the game. I want them to focus on the netcode. I just want the damn game to work well. I'm still fail reloading all the damn time in Battlefield. Like, it just happens to me all the fucking time. I reload, don't have any bullets in a mag, and it's like, come on, guys, just fix the bugs, polish the game, work on the core gameplay. If the maps are designed well, then I'll like the game. You don't need dinosaurs. You don't need whatever.
I often get the opposite thing. I reload and I don't get reload animation, but my bullets reload. So I'm just like, oh, instant bullets. It's really cool.
Nice.
It just works really well.
I wish I had your bug instead of mine.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so today this has been Battlefield Roundtable. We've been talking a little bit about Battlefield 4, things we would like to see, things that are changing in the game, and the general sort of premise and construction of Battlefield in general. If you have any thoughts about this, please put them below, leave any comments about what we've talked about today, and we'll have some more stuff coming up very soon. I've been joined today by Levelcap, Matimio and RivaLxfactor. I'll put all their channels below if you haven't already checked them out, which I'm pretty sure you will have. Thanks for joining me today, guys. And I should just say, if you've enjoyed today's video, then please rate and share, and I'll see you next time for some more Battlefield Roundtable.